How can we make cities and projects more investable? What are we not getting right? And how can we get it right?
For me, it comes down to two things. The one is around improving the transparency and governance in terms of cities and their offering, but also what their requirements are. So I think the more transparent and the better kind of institutions in place around governance, the easier I think municipalities will find in terms of attracting investment. And I guess that there's two aspects to that investment. The one is obviously investing in municipalities themselves. So, for example, through issuing of bonds and all of that. But the other one is also obviously private sector investment by establishing new greenfield opportunities and also brownfield opportunities within the municipality. But I think a lot of that does come down to kind of improved governance, transparency, and improvement in institutional governance, if I can call it that. Um, I think the other one is from a very South African perspective. I think there has to be much less focus from a municipality side around the kind of dogma of in terms of who owns assets. When I talk about who owns assets, I mean I think that there is a need for a greater dialogue between public and private sector institutions in order to encourage the private sector to invest in municipalities. But what that requires is that municipalities should be more concerned around the kind of cost and quality of services that are being provided rather than who owns the infrastructure um, behind that service provision. And so I think that there is a greater need for discussion around how does the private sector become involved, and less of a focus on if the private sector becomes involved, who owns the assets. I think that almost should become a kind of second phase of any discussion that takes place around investment. But again, there's no shortages of opportunities for the private sector to get involved in terms of investing, both in terms of supporting municipalities to provide their services, but also in terms of investing themselves within specific municipalities.